Alright guys, Delzinski here, and I'm sure you've all heard by now that Finn Devitt has indeed made his NXT debut. This was recorded in a recent TV taping and it will air on November 6th. Now with that being the case, a few details coming out from this is that Devitt had the same treatment as one Kenta with a name change. Yes, if you remember right, Kenta changed his name to Hideo Itami. And now Prince Devitt will now go by the name of Finn Balor. Yeah, that's going to take a bit of getting used to, that's for sure. Just like Hideo Itami, this is now another name change that we've seen with a superstar coming from the indies, coming outside of the WWE and now being repackaged in the WWE and NXT universe. Now, some other details, I don't want to give too much away because you'll see for yourselves. If you do want to go and actually see what went down with Devitt's arrival, you can find that elsewhere. But, I mean, one of the big talking points as well was, would he come in with his face paint? Well, maybe he did, maybe he didn't, but there are indications that Devitt will use his trademark face paint in his role as Finn Balor. And the reason being is because that Devitt had on the screen behind him when he made his entrance on the Titantron, that's what I like to call it still, I'm a bit retro like that, he had his face paint look, and that is the image that you can see here on the right hand side. Now it's not that exact image, but that's the face paint that is shown in the screen behind him. So wait and see. As I said, this will come out on November 6th and you guys will get to see it. But on top of that as well, you guys can easily find it if you really want to. But I don't want to give it all away. I don't want to give you anything else. But I think it was important to cover the fact that face paint, that everybody's been wondering if he was going to do his trademark stuff that he used to do on the indies in New Japan Pro Wrestling would come to the WWE, and it seems to be that that will be the case. Now whether it's just going to be used sparingly, that's probably more likely, but the hints and the seed has been put there. So I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to cover his actual debut, which I have, and I also want to put to you about the name change itself. And is this a good thing with the WWE? Is this something you're a fan of, or is this something you very much dislike? Because for me, I sort of sit on both sides of the fence, because I get why they do it, but I'm not really keen on it sometimes, because I think it all depends on the way WWE market the gimmick and the character. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I'm also a fan of the traditional days, when we had the guys like Chris Jericho come into the WWE, when we had guys like Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, let's go for a different brand, Rob Van Dam from ECW. So you had WCW guys coming in, you had ECW guys coming in, and everybody knew their background and they took and kept their same name. So when those guys came in, they were established, and you knew that because Chris Jericho was in WCW Chris Jericho, and in the WWE he continued that name. Now WWE have had issues in the past with trademarks and copyright, so they've obviously taken steps to try and eradicate this, and this is why I believe they do this now with the repackaging of superstars. Now it's a good thing in the way that WWE did acknowledge what Devitt has done in the past, and did acknowledge what Kenta or Hideo Itami has done in the past by showing vintage promos of them from the past, and you know, also letting them tweet out some of their historical moments. I'd seen Devitt tweet out a few times his New Japan titles, just to sort of remember, you know, that that's what he's done, that's what he's done in his career. So I liked that they were acknowledging it, but it feels as well a bit of a changing of the guard, almost as such, maybe out with the old and in with the new. So you were Prince Devitt and now you're Finn Balor. You were Kenta and now you're Hideo Itami. And the way that they've done this, they've done it quite nicely, I have to admit, is having the screen behind them flash up with the name Kenta, and then it fade out, and then in comes the new name, and it's almost like a rebirth of the character. Now, That's fine. That's fine. It's WWE's way. I understand that. But the character has to be solid and the character has to have longevity. And what I mean by this is we've had guys in the past that really it hasn't worked for. And I don't want Devitt and Kenta to become another one of those. As you can see, even when I refer to them at the moment, it's very difficult for me to refer to them as Balor. It's very difficult for me to refer them as Itami at the moment. Because I'm so used to calling these guys it. The crowd, they chanted for Kenta as opposed to Hideo Itami when they first saw him on NXT, even when the name was changed, because it's easier and that's what they know. Now, it's difficult because I'm going to give you some examples here of where it's gone wrong. The likes of Fandango. Now, Fandango came in through NXT and then he got repackaged to Fandango. Now, Fandango came in and everybody thought, okay, he beat Chris Jericho. This guy is on the up and this is going to be maybe a well-established guy. But let's face facts. The gimmick, the persona was not right. The gimmick, the persona was never World Championship material. It was a flash in the pan and it was a Vince idea, and this Vince idea didn't work. Who does it hurt the most when it doesn't work? The superstar itself. WWE just simply move on. This guy falls to the back of the line. This guy disappears. This guy goes back to the indies and has to start again. Now, another example of this, Adam Rose. Is Adam Rose, with that gimmick that they have given him, really going to be a WWE World Heavyweight Champion? No. Is Adam Rose going to be an Intercontinental Champion? That's debatable. The guy hangs around with a bunny. The guy likes to party. That's about it. There's no substance to this character. There's no aggressive side. There's no feeling that he could switch it up and one day become a champion. And if he did have a championship reign, it would probably be very short-lived. The character as itself doesn't feel like it could be one that could go on for 10 years like a John Cena. This gimmick feels like it could be over within the next 12 months. Vince is already saying that he doesn't like it already. He's gone off it. And that's my point. Wishy-washy characters that don't work. Finn Balor, is that going to have sustainability in the WWE in NXT? And I'm not just talking about NXT here. I'm talking about when he moves up to the bigger brands. Are they going to repackage him again? I don't like that. I think it feels a little bit like they're not going to do that, to be honest. It feels like that Finn Balor will be the name and Devitt will carry that through his career in WWE. But whether it's good or not is the make or break point. And I find sometimes if they get it wrong, it really hurts these characters. Well, it really hurts the individual who plays these characters, aka Fergal Devitt. And he will have to come back from that, because if he does fall to the back of the line and it doesn't work for him, he will ultimately go back to the indies and he will go back to being Prince Devitt. But it would be deemed as a failure for him. I never want that to happen with guys that come into the WWE, and I don't think it will happen to someone like Devitt, but I hope they have really thought long and hard about the name, the character and the gimmick and its path and its course and where it goes, not just come up with something for the short term. It should always be built for the long term. The only other thing I'd say on this topic as well is I question why it's so extreme half the time. Why can't it be short and, you know, why can't it just be why can't it just be similar? Why can't it be tweaked? And what I mean again is why can't the name be tweaked? Look, we're talking Prince Devitt here, so why not Prince Balor? Why has it become Finn Balor? Why has it become so different? Why not, as opposed to Prince Devitt, why isn't it just Devitt? Now, I don't get why it can't just be a shortened tweak to the name. And if it was like that, I'm sure that gets around the copyright issues. Let's take a look at someone like Kevin Steen. They're going to repackage Steen. Does that devalue what Steen has done through the years in Ring of Honor? Maybe it will. And that is my sort of worry, and that's my criticism of it. But on the other side, I can see why they do it, because they really do want to establish these guys as WWE guys. Is it always good to be a WWE guy? That would be my question to you as well. So I want to get your views on this. It's a massive talking point. It's something that's played on my mind for quite some time now in terms of the name changes. When I first heard that Kenta had his name change, I wasn't very happy, but I'm getting used to Hideo Itami and it's growing on me, so that's not too bad. When I heard about Finn Balor, this one's going to take much longer. Probably because I've followed Prince Devitt a lot more than I have Kenta. I've watched his matches in New Japan a lot more. I've followed him on the indies, and he for me is a guy that really didn't need any sort of repackaging because he can literally just come in and do a job. Now, on that note, I'll only say one more thing on his actual debut, is it looked like WWE had got this very much right. It looks good. The future looks good for Devitt. The way he actually does come in is very nicely done. So no criticism there. It's just the name. Is it right or is it wrong to repackage these guys because they've come from elsewhere? Let me know. It's a big talking point. I could talk about it for hours. I really could. And if you want to hear me talk about it a bit more, just let me know, and maybe this becomes a topic on We Talk. I'm sure Weeds will want to get involved and have his say on the name changes. We'll probably talk about it anyway, but yeah, let me know via the comments box below if you want that to happen in an up and coming We Talk. So yeah, Prince Devitt, aka, well, the artist formerly known as Prince Devitt, as he now becomes Finn Balor. So that's Kenta going from Hideo Itami, that's his new name, and then we've got Prince Devitt going to Finn Balor, and next up, obviously, is Kevin Steen. What is Kevin Steen's name going to be? Even let me know that in the comments box below. So all that's left to be said is please rate, comment and subscribe, and definitely get involved in this one. I want to see all your comments. It's a real debate, this one. Some people think it's great that they get new names. Some people think it's terrible that they get new names. Whew. It's a topic for discussion. All that's left to be said is please rate, comment and subscribe. I think I've already said that, but there you go. This is Delzinski, as always, signing out.